Three, two, one.
Welcome to the episode of the Happy Hour Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are continuing with our predictions. We are diving headfirst into the NFC North. This is a jam-packed division with some good teams, maybe some bad teams, or maybe they're all good teams. It could be one of the more competitive divisions in all of football this year, heading into 2024. As always, I am joined by my partner here, Mr. Matthew Fox. How are you, sir?
It's all about the future. These two divine gentlemen for you.
Yeah, it's the future is here. You know what I mean? We're oh, the future is here. Folks, like we've done in each of the other episodes, what we talk about here on the show, we're going to break down the NFC South or NFC North, and we're going to talk about the record. Well, I'm going to get that one right one of these times because I have it written down a certain way in here. But we were talking about who's going to win the division, what their record will be, and will we bet the over and under on that specific team. We do that each and every episode. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm going to put Matthew Fox on the spot here and there just because I like to do that, because he was mean to me right before we jumped on the podcast, made fun of Keaton Slavis, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this year. He just doesn't know it yet. But, all right, Fox, let's talk about the NFC North, because this is a division I feel like maybe, just maybe, we might not be on the same page on. I'm really excited for it. Give me your how you think this division is going to fall out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of back and forth. I've seen some wild optimism from Chicago and Green Bay, and what I would consider exceedingly wild optimism from Minnesota. I have the Vikings in fourth. I have the Bears in third, the Packers in second, and the mighty Detroit Lions in first.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We're close-ish. I have the Bears in fourth, Vikings in third, Lions in second, Packers in first. I will say this. Packers-Lions went back and forth about 45 times. I have them within a game of each other. I think when I ran it the first time, I think I had the Lions as high as like 12-5, I think it was. And then the second time I had them at 10-7. And the same, I had him winning the division one time. This could, like I said, this is right now. I wouldn't know who to bet if I was betting the division. I know Fox likes the Lions, but all right, let's talk about. You had the Vikings in last. I had the Vikings in third. I just like them a little bit better. I think that you probably are more bullish on them. Where do you have them win wise?
I had them with 4 wins.
Woo! Woo! You just threw them out to the backside and said, "See you later, boys." Give us some thoughts on why you have them around that number.
So their defense has been horrific. Even when Kirk got them to the playoffs a couple of years ago. Their running back situation still a little bit of a mystery. You know, Aaron Jones looked really good in the playoffs for a couple games in the playoffs, but that caused people to look past the fact that he really struggled to get on the field during the regular season, which I think is one of the reasons the Packers were willing to move on. I don't have a ton of faith in Ty Chandler. TJ Hawkinson got a major injury late in the season. I don't think he's ready in September, October. So you're rolling Johnny Munt probably at tight end for the while. Justin Jefferson, that contract negotiation hasn't gone swimmingly. I do like Jordan Addison, but they lost some of their depth pieces at receivers. So like Brandon Powell is now kind of wide receiver 3 there. I still don't know about their line. And, you know, I think Sam Darnold is a very quality NFL backup quarterback, but he could very well be their kind of starting quarterback. And we saw where that kind of landed the Panthers. I think they're in an incredibly competitive division and in a conference that has gotten more competitive. And I don't know what we're getting out of JJ McCarthy as a NFL quarterback. He was not asked to throw a lot in college. Sure, he has Justin Jefferson, but there could be some growing pains. And I just think Minnesota's schedule is not particularly favorable. They're another one. We've talked at times about matchups. They open up at the Giants. That could be a winnable matchup, but on the road for a rookie or something, I don't know. Then they host San Francisco. They host the Houston Texans. They're at the Green Bay Packers. They host the New York Jets. They host the Detroit Lions. Then they're at the Rams. Then in week 9, they host the Colts, which could be a more winnable game. Then they're at the Jaguars, at the Titans, at the Bears. That's, 3 teams that all could be a little frisky. Then they're home for the Cardinals, who I think will be better, and the Falcons. That's going to be a very emotional game, probably with Kirk coming back. Then they host the Bears. Then they're at the Seahawks. That's kind of a long travel, and Seattle is a weird place to play. Then they host the Packers, and then they're at the Lions. That is not a particularly great schedule, especially early. And that's, if JJ McCarthy starts at the beginning, does he get his confidence badly shaken when, through a stretch of the first 8 games? If Darnold starts, can he keep them in it? I liked him as a backup in San Francisco. I don't know how much I like having all the pressure on his shoulders.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm honest on this podcast. I'm very honest on this podcast. I'm very honest about everything I'm talking about. I'm going to sit here and be honest with you guys. Matthew Fox said a lot of things that made a lot of sense in a matter of, 2 or 3 minutes. That really solidified the fact that I have the Vikings winning more football games than I probably should have let them on to be. Let me be honest with you. Let me say this too. I think this honestly. If they sign Jefferson before the season starts, if he doesn't, one way or another, I don't know if he sees the field if he doesn't sign the extension. Honestly, I don't know if I would touch the field if I were him if I don't sign the extension yet. Because if you look on the surface, you're right. This is a dumpster fire. You know what I mean? And you're risking your life for Sam Darnold to throw you passes.
Or
and JJ
JJ.
McCarthy. And the thing about it is nobody watched more Michigan football than I did last year. That man can't throw the ball 5 yards down the football field. There was games that he didn't even have to throw the football 5 yards on the football field. I think JJ can be a manageable quarterback in the NFL. The problem is the Vikings don't have a team built for him. He is a manageable quarterback. He is a Brock Purdy, can be like a Brock Purdy, except for Brock Purdy plays with some of the best weapons in the entire football league. Okay, JJ McCarthy is playing with Justin Jefferson and the Funky Bunch. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. Looking at the
I like Addison, but
I do too. But I agree with what you're saying. The thing about it, but another thing that you mentioned that really made me now think about this in depth was they don't have their defense. Their defense was pretty bad. So if you think about that, so now if you take the defense and you get the football thrown or ran down your throat, and your opposing team is putting up 20, 24, 27 points, that means JJ is going from throwing the football 10, 15, 20 times a game to 20, 25, 30, 40 times a game. Or Darnold. I mean, I don't care. You could put them both and put them together in one. You don't want either one of those guys throwing the football 40 times a game, especially year one. If they were smart, JJ McCarthy might not touch that football field this year. And if he does, it might not be figuring out what you have on this roster.
If they had more of a power running game, if this was a couple of years ago when you had peak Dalvin Cook, who you thought was going to run for 1,200 yards, I might feel better about it. But how many games can Aaron Jones stay healthy? And then beyond him, are you talking about Ty Chandler and Kenny Nwangawu carrying? I mean, it's a fun name to say. Don't know how much I'm getting out of the production,
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I am a man that is more than willing to come on here and say that he was wrong about something, and I feel bullishly wrong about the Vikings right now. But I will say this, okay? I think the Bears are going to be bad, okay? I don't think the Bears are going to be as good as everybody says they are. I don't think they're going to be. I mean, I have seen people talk about the Bears are going to win the division. I've seen.
Yeah, that's too much.
This is how ridiculous people are about the Bears. Okay, we're going to jump a little slightly ahead on something right here. Okay, the Bears over under in Vegas right now is 8.5. Okay, 8.5. The Chicago Bears over under in Vegas right now is 8.5. Okay, let me explain something to you real quick. Okay, this is me going. This is just me ranting a little bit. Fox is going to give me the table. They haven't won 8.5. They haven't won 9 games since 2018. They've won 9 games one time since 2012. Okay. One time since 2012. One time. That's it, folks. One time since 2012. So why in the world would you set that 8.5? But let me make this even worse for you, Fox. Okay. All right. You know, I'm a gambling guy. You know what I mean? You know that. They're over. To bet they're over. This means that Vegas is people are heavily betting on this 8.5. It's minus 165. You can't even make any money. You're making like $4 for every $10 you bet on the over. On the over, Fox, right now. You're making $3 or $4 per $10. You're making 30 or 40 per 100 that you're betting on the over. That means everybody is pounding the over 8.5 on the Bears. Someone in this world, I understand they made some nice fancy schmancy off-season additions, right? You know what I mean? They added Keenan Allen. They added Rome. They got DeAndre Swift. They've made Gerald Everett. You know what I mean? They have some pieces on their team. DJ Moore is very good. Cole Kmet's good. They've got some pieces. But can we stop thinking that everybody's going to be CJ Stroud? You know what I mean? Can we stop thinking that there's a possibility that this team's not playing in one of the hardest? Like, the Packers are a good team. The Packers proved us all. I'll say me. I don't know if it's all of us is in the equation. I don't know, Fox, if you're on that same boat. I forgot how you felt about them last year. And another thing that we're talking about, their schedule's not very all that grandest. You know what I mean? It's not a hard schedule to start. I think that, Tennessee, Houston, Indianapolis, Rams, Carolina, Jacksonville, there's winnable games, but that's also some dog fights in there. You got some dog fights. You know what I mean? And then you got a stretch of Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay. That's not easy. You're in a division where you're facing some dogs. You're facing the Lions, who are Super Bowl contenders. You're facing the Packers, who are very much a playoff contender. You're talking about a schedule that's not easy. You're talking about trusting a quarterback to win you 8.5 football games. This team, I think, peak best 6 wins. That's it. 6, 7 if you're being generous. Fox might be a little bit more generous than I am. Fox, where are you at? Sorry for the little rant. I went on a little bit of rant. I hate the Bears. Go on.
I do think some of the talk about them winning the division feels a little premature to me, but they were 7-10 last year, largely on the strength of a very underrated defense. That's pretty good. They made some moves to improve their offense. How much will that take shape with Shane Waldron? They did change coordinators, which I thought was good. I think that 8.5, that's a stay away from me. Because I think that's right in the range. I had them winning 9 games, not quite making the playoffs, but I think Chicago was a better team than most people remember from a year ago. The reason they had the number 1 overall pick is because they had Carolina's pick.
Well, they still suck. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about the Bears. I don't think this team's going to win that many games. I've been proven wrong before, but I will not be proven wrong on this one. All right, so let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Where do you have them at?
I have them at 11-6.
Same. I do too. Again, to me, them and the Lions is interchangeable. Where do you have the Lions at?
I have the Lions at 12-5.
Yeah, so I have it very interchangeable. Like I said, even at the top of it, I was like 12-5. I think I had the Packers once at 12-5, and then I had the Lions at 10-7, and then it was flip flop. So I just kind of have it very, very neutral. Would it surprise me if the Lions win the division? No. Would it surprise me if the Packers win the division? No. I think I'm very much there on both sides of that fence. All right, let's talk Vegas. We already talked about the Bears. Listen to me right here. If you're listening to me right now, okay? Plus 140. Bet the Bears under like you've never bet anything in your entire existence. Okay. Bet the under on the Bears right now. Okay. Plus 140 on under 8.5.
That photo might become the sports equivalent of your Jared Leto
Joker.
Denzel
Little things.
Yeah, little things.
Little things, yes. So, all right. Moving on to the over-under of the Vikings. It is sitting at 6.5. The over is at minus 145, which means people in Vegas like that number because it's very high. Like I said, you're winning about probably $4 or $5 per 10. Plus 120 on the under. I'm staying away from this number. I don't like it at all, just because I personally was a little bit more bullish. Now I'm less bullish because Matthew Fox talked me out
I
of
think
it.
I might actually take a shot on the under because I just
Money to be made there.
they're not going to be as good as everybody thinks.
Yeah, it's weird. You really went from like me in my head. I was like, man, this is a team I think could surprise. To I'm off the cliff. I'm off the cliff now. I'm 100% off. They might be the worst team in football. All right, let's do Packers
New
next.
England.
Over, huh?
It's New England.
No, no, we can't say that. I like Drake May. I want Drake May to succeed.
They should have actually built a team around him instead of giving him Kendrick Bourne as his wide receiver one.
I wish the Commanders would have drafted him. All right. They probably are going to wish they did.
Yeah. So the Packers, what was their over under?
Over under is 9.5. Staying away.
I'm taking the over. I think they get to at least 10 wins. They may not get to 11.
Signing. That Jacobs signing was nice. I love that signing for them.
Unless the wheels really come off the bus, I think Matt LaFleur has shown us that he's a really good coach and he knows what he's doing. And I felt bad about doubting them. You asked me about last year. I didn't believe in them at all. I thought they were going to be like a 3 or 4 win team. I was dead wrong.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about the most impressive thing about what he did was how rough they started. They started really rough, and they just came in the second half, and then they went into Dallas and tore their mouth out. And they should have beaten the 49ers.
Yeah, they gave the 49ers what's for too. I mean, they looked good.
Yeah. Lions is sitting at over 10.5. I don't like it at all. I'm not betting that at all. I can't.
I'm staying away too, just because I think they'll win 11 or 12 games, but they're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. Everybody sees them coming.
For sure. And that's a high win total. 10.5 that's in the AFC or NFC, sorry, in the NFC, that is on par. Eagles, Cowboys, those 3 teams have the over 10.5, and then the 49ers are the only ones that are higher. Yeah. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Who are your 4 division winners? You have yours all set up right there?
Yep. So Lions, Eagles, 49ers, Falcons.
Yeah. So I've got 49ers, Eagles, Packers, Falcons. Who are your wild card teams?
Packers, Cowboys, Rams.
At Lions, I'm looking at mine as we're talking here. I'm on a roll here. Damn, man, who's my? I'm gonna put a surprise in there for my last team. I'm gonna put the Commanders in the playoffs. I got Lions, Cowboys, Commanders. All right, so just who do you have in your NFC title game?
Let me go back. I had 49ers, Lions.
I have Eagles and 49ers. Yeah. I think the 49, in my opinion, I think the 49ers get the 1 seed. The Eagles are going to get the 2 seed, I think. And because of that, I don't think they face each other until they can't face each other until the title game. I personally, if you have one pick for a sleeper to come out the NFC this year, who would it be?
Sleeper would probably be the Packers. But my current Super Bowl pick is the Lions.
Ooh. You got them winning it? Uh-oh. I just want to throw at everybody out here. The Lions have no chance of going to the Super Bowl now. Okay. A few years ago, Matthew Fox had the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. So
I'm afraid which fan base is going to hate me in the AFC that I have going, but I have Jared Goff and CJ Stroud in the Super Bowl.
Oh man.
But it's June. I have time to sit on it. But
he has time to take his pick off of your team, is what I'm telling you right now. He has time to take his pick off your team. Okay. And that's what you want. Okay, guys. I'm not any better.
Maybe it's 2015 and I'm riding the spotlight all the way to glory.
Hey,
had you thought about that?
9 years. It's been 9 years.
I rode Oppenheimer all the way to glory. That wasn't my number 1 movie. Never mind. I forgot.
Oh, well, looky, what was it?
It was kind of 1A, 1B, but
folks, that is it for this week's edition. If you've been watching, this is the last edition of the NFC. We did the NFC all week. All the episodes are up right now on the YouTube channel. You can find everything there. We did the East, West, North, South. We're all good there. Next week, AFC. Very excited to talk about that because there was a lot of weird things that happened when I did my AFC picks, and I'm still very weirded out. I will probably
that 11
rerun
win
my AFC.
Broncos season.
What? Did I have the Broncos win 11 games?
God, I hope not.
No. Let me look real quick. I didn't screenshot those ones. I didn't thankfully. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. I will say that.
Yeah.
There's some good teams in the AFC. I think the
none
AFC
of them are named Denver.
None of them are named anybody in the West. So
except for Kansas City.
Well, yeah, fuck Kansas City though. But that being said, I fucking hate. All right, I can't. I'll rant on them whenever we talk about them next week. I just fuck the Chiefs. But that's it for this week's episode of the Happy Hour podcast. We'll talk to you guys next week.